We are back with Moms Coaching Moms. I'm Rochelle and this is Christine, and we have another exciting week. Last week, we started talking about, and we're talking about self-acceptance and self-compassion. And this is all with our series that we're doing right now of things you didn't even know you needed as a mom. And so last week we talked about how we just need to start with just accepting ourselves and just having compassion for ourselves, for all we've been through, for where we're going, what we're going, everything. We talked about fix it factor, and we talked specifically about recovery time for ourselves that's within the Wendy psychological assessment. And so this week, the self-acceptance and self-compassion is leading us into our topic of learning to listen and connect with yourself. And this is something that has been a really big topic for us. It's leading us into something that we are working on creating, and which is going to be to do around intuitive living. And so what we've been finding is that for ourselves, even other people speaking to us speaking to others, anything like that, is that we'll hit different times in life, and we'll think, this is what I need to do. Or we'll be told that this is what you need to do. You need to go for a walk. You need to go sit down. You need to have quiet time. You need to be by yourself. You need whatever, all these needs. And often we can do that to ourselves too. Oh, I just need a break. Oh, I just need to sit. Oh, I just need to, whatever it is. And the problem with that is that we're not actually listening and connecting with ourselves. We are either having someone else tell us what we need, or we're telling ourselves what we need. And that was something that as we had conversation and we were talking about this, that we realized what actually happens in each of us when we do that, when someone else tells us this is what you need to do, or when we tell ourselves what we need to do. So do you want to go ahead and share for you what happens when someone tells you this is what I need to do, or when you say what you need to do for yourself?
Well, for me, sometimes it's not so much what they say that I need, it's that what you should do. Or I just thinking about it, I'm like, ugh. I can just hear all the voices in my head of when people come, oh, you just need this, or you should do this. It'd be so much better if you just did this. And for me, I feel suffocated, and it makes me shut down and feel like I am totally ridiculous and stupid, and that I couldn't communicate what it is that I'm actually feeling and what I need. And so I just absolutely feel like I'm being held underwater, and I'm not free to be able to express what it is that I am looking for in that moment. And so for me, then what often happens is that I just sort of crumble underneath that. So
Yeah. Oh, I know, right? Like, it's like, when we talked about fix it factor last week, it's sort of like fix it factor for on ourselves, just that automatic, need, but that automatic response to just give ourselves even that unasked for advice, that we just try and fix things and stuff. So for me, when I hear someone else or myself, this is what you need to do, for me, I go into what I call the do mode. And it's just, I just do. I just go to work. I can make lists. I can put my head down, work hard, figure it out. And part of that, just goes back to what I've been through and stuff in life as well. Because that's something that we definitely always come back to, are the stories in our head. What are the stories that are going on? What are the things that we've been told that, through life? And so for me, I go into do mode and I don't really think, and I just give up myself. So what I have found that I need to do is I need to stop first. That's the first thing I need to do, is just stop, because I'm so busy of going. And I just need to stop. And I know you came up with a fantastic acronym for this, just as we were talking about this and planning it. So why don't you share it? Because you came up with it and it's perfect.
Yes.
Because it's exactly what I do. It's exactly what I do.
Right? So stop. You need that silent time to observe and process.
Yeah. I love it. And it's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
Because I need to stop. I just need that silent time, because I need to observe what's going on. I need to process it. And then I also wait. And wait it has like sort of two acronyms with it, is what am I thinking and why am I talking? And for me, that what am I thinking, that has become such a key for me, because when just my growing up, I was always told what I thought. I was told, this is what you do, this is what you think, and all this. And what I found was I just regurgitated it. So the last while, it has been so hard. Like when someone says something to me, when I read something, when I see something, just like anything, my challenge for myself has been asking myself, what do I actually think about this? Not what automatically comes out of my mouth, not what just popped into my head. What do I actually think? And that has been like so key for me to being able to learn to listen and connect with myself, because I can't listen and connect with myself if I'm just regurgitating what other people have always told me and said about me or to me or whatever. So, and that's where then we kind of go back to like last week and why we started there with the accepting ourselves and having compassion, because we'll realize that some of those stories, like where they came from and how they got there. So, and then that's when we can actually move into the listening and connecting with ourselves. Whereas, and this is where also that we were talking, but I know this has been something that you have really been doing, is integrating the body, mind, and spirit.
Yes.
And that's been huge.
Yeah. For me, I have really been learning, like I went through a time of really rebuilding after I had a complete crash and burnout a few years ago now. And so I really put together a self-care, self-compassion program for myself to heal. And recently I have been noticing that it became so routine that I actually lost some of the true communion between my mind, my body, and my spirit. And it was almost like I started to dehumanize myself. And I started to lose the ability to allow myself my human experiences. And so what that would do essentially is I was causing separation between my mind, body, and spirit. And it was almost like I was punishing different parts of me for feeling a certain way or acting a certain way or being a certain way. And it started coming out in my body. And instead of listening to that, I'd be like, oh, why is my back hurting so much? Or if I wasn't sleeping, I was picking on myself for not being able, to rest. Or if my spirit was at unease, it's like, oh, I just need to raise my vibration. And I can't tell you the amount of times that other people or myself have said, just breathe, just relax, calm down, raise your vibration. And I'm just like, hello, I meditate every day. What did you expect? Like, I am calm.
Yeah.
This is me calm.
Yeah.
So this is, yeah, it's definitely been interesting learning to reintegrate that and to really allow myself to be human and to really have, first of all, that self-acceptance and that compassion, and then really learning to listen and connect. And what is it that is going on in me right now?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And part of that, like the learning to listen and learning to listen to ourselves and connect with ourselves is that, like, the stop and the wait and, looking at integrating, but then maybe asking ourselves, sometimes I need to ask, like, okay, what do I need right in this moment? Not I need to do this or I need to do that or should do this or should do that, or it's like just that stop and wait. And what do I need right now?
Yeah.
What do I need in this moment? What is the most useful right now? And then having, using our or tapping into that bravery in ourselves of not justifying it. Because how
Yes.
often, like, so the big thing, that the story that comes in my mind about all this is when I am in an afternoon or something or anytime, and I am just like, I just cannot keep my eyes open and I just want to lay down for a rest. And I just think, like, oh, I could just fall asleep. But then it's like, oh, well, that's being lazy. Well, you don't have time for that. Well, there's so many other things. There's like, did you look at your big long list that you have today? What about the kids? Like, oh my goodness, like that's what is some, I mean, it's just like, I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but like, it's like my mind is, and so then so often I won't go lay down. And so what do I do? Because it's like, oh, I can just push through. I just need to do this. I got to get this done. And so, like, even if I have something to do, I'll sit with like my books out, I'll sit with whatever. And I find like it'll all of a sudden be an hour or two later, and I'm still sitting there, and I might be even still reading the same paragraph like for the 20th time. And or like one of my kids will try and have a conversation with me, and I don't even remember a thing that we even said. And I end up every single time thinking, oh, why didn't I just rest? If I would have just laid down, I probably could have just had a 30-minute nap and I would have got up and I would have been able to get stuff done, actually. Instead of, I like sat there and wasted probably 2 hours of time, but I stayed awake. I didn't go to sleep. I wasn't lazy. Like, oh, and the times that I've actually just listened to myself and going, you know what? I'm just going to lay down for a bit. It's amazing when we do actually listen to ourselves
Yeah.
and take that time.
It totally it totally reminds me of a couple other of those acronyms that I've made, and one was for rest, and it was releasing everything still tethered. And it is a huge one for me because I find it very, very hard to rest. There's just
Mhm.
so many other things that we can do. And another one that I had done was for relax, and it was the relationship within needs encouragement by listening and allowing experiences to just be in the moment.
Mm.
And I, again, that rest and relax. I mean, I should probably do another one for like, breathe or something. And I started, I started making these because those words became a trigger that had me like,
Mm,
I'm not going to breathe now. I'm not going to relax. I can't rest.
right.
Instead of like, okay, like, how can I turn these things into something that could help me? And that was another one, like, when we did the one for stop, like, how many times do you just tell you, just stop it? It's like,
Mhm.
well, okay, what if we could
I had no
turn that
idea.
into something to, um, to something that could really benefit us and to empower us to keep moving forward and to really listen to really listen and connect to ourselves.
Yeah. Well, and that is then it goes to all part of which, it's something that we are creating right now is just goes into that like intuitive living, because and that is solely just listening to ourselves. And so like for me, another thing that I've been working on is like scheduling and such. So I have 5 kids and we have a lot of doctor's appointments. We have school. I homeschool too still. There's in school. There's so many variables in there. We're doing moms coaching moms, and we have other coaching, and it just goes on and on and on and on, like everyone else out there. Really, it's not saying that like, oh, this is only me. Like literally everyone out there is the same in that way. And so it's really learning to tap into ourselves, to the stop and the wait, and what do I need? Yeah. What works for me? And that's what I've been really working on for my like scheduling and stuff, because I am not someone who does well with like this linear time and this like that, but yet I have to live in this world of that. I have to live in a world of that, appointment schedules and times and whatever. I have to. However, that's not how I best operate. So with everything else I have to get done, how do I do that? And it's interesting, and I'm working on it right now, and I'm only like day 2 into like a new one that I'm trying again. But, sometimes we can end up thinking like, oh, what's wrong with me? There's something wrong with me. Like if I can't do it this one way because this person told me this is the way it is done and this is the way it has to be. And goodness, all the stories that can come with that. Then we can start thinking like there's something wrong with me. I've heard or I've read like a poster that talks about when it's to children. However, I think it's very relevant to any human being, but it is very accurate for children. But when a child is criticized and just constantly criticized as young, they don't learn to hate or question the parent who's doing it. They learn to hate and question themselves. And that, when I read that, I was like, wow, like that is true. That is so true. And the thing is we carry that on into adulthood.
Yeah.
So when we do that, when we constantly criticize ourselves, then we learn to just hate ourselves. We learn to believe that there's something wrong with ourselves.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with ourselves. We're all different human beings. People like saying that, but we don't all actually believe that. Because as soon as someone does something a little different, it's like, oh, well, excuse me, that's not the way I would do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's not right. Even, some people might even say that. Well, that's not right. Well, that's not okay. Like, and what we're doing is, and I know you talked about this a little bit before, and it's so true, is like we dehumanize ourselves. And I looked up the definition of dehumanize because I was interested in it, because we've heard a lot about it as well the last while. And the definition, one of the definitions of dehumanize, is to deprive of human qualities, personality, or dignity. So we deprive ourselves.
Yeah.
In this case. And I know it has a lot bigger meanings, and it can go into so many areas, but it is so appropriate for what we're talking about.
Yeah. So speaking of what we're talking about, we would love to have you join our Moms Coaching Moms sessions on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock Mountain Time and 7 o'clock Pacific Time. And we're on Zoom, so it's a free Zoom registration. And we also have other things as well, like the Wendy assessment, if you are interested in doing a psychological needs assessment to really help understand yourself better.
Yeah, we didn't go detailed into that this week because we were doing this intuitively. Really is what we were doing. But the thing is that it's because when we were going through like our assessments and stuff and looking through, it was like, oh, but we could use this and we could use this and this and this and this. Like it all just so relates.
Yeah.
And so that's where we've been finding it so important to learn about ourselves individually, learn about ourselves. Like, what do I need? What do you learning, what do you need? And how then we step into bravery of to like, okay, now I can be me. And working on our self-concept. And that then all leads naturally into self-love and self-care, and then leading into what we're going to talk about at the end of the month on boundaries of, making those hard decisions. And it just is like this whole package that we're talking about this month of, and the reason that we called it things that you didn't even know you needed as a mom is because we didn't know we needed these things as moms. We didn't know that. We know many other moms who didn't know this either. And there's so much sort of talk in the fluff sense about it out there. And we just really want to talk about like sort of the nuts and bolts and some practical steps that we take to be able to do that. And so, yeah, and that's what we do on Wednesday nights. We have those deeper conversations. And if someone does like the Wendy assessment, then we go through and we do a debrief and we talk through those stories. Like you hear us talking about these stories that have come up. Well, it's through the dialogue that we've had with ourselves, with each other, going through those assessments and having that talk. So yes, we definitely would love all moms, it's moms only, to join us for our NJAM Conversations. And, but otherwise, anyone can watch these videos and they can be shared, but really, we want to have those deeper conversations as well. So next week, we're going to be talking about self-love and self-care, which is, I started learning this from you. And I think the first thing that I always say when I start talking about self-care is like, no, I'm not going to go sit in a bathtub full of bubbles and sit there with candles. Because that's honestly the first thing that comes to my mind. That's what oh, you just need to go have a bath. You just need to go sit by yourself. I remember anyways, we'll get into that next week because it's important. It's important. And that's why this week came first is what do I need? And so our challenge for you is to integrate that and to have that bravery to ask yourself, what am I thinking right now? But then also, what do I need right now? What would be most useful for me right now? And that's our challenge for you this week and going forward.
And if you're interested in how you can get your first month Wendy membership, you can join in on our call on Wednesday, and we'll be going over some details of that as we're in collaboration with another organization. And so, yeah, we would love to discuss that with you. So if you're interested, come and join us.